Yeah, we're on mute. I think we might start now, guys. So appreciate everyone making the time to attend our first webinar from Ekahau for 2019. I'm Grant Shelley, the Technical Sales Engineer for Asia Pacific. Just a little bit of housekeeping to get out of the way before we kick things off. So everyone's in listen-only mode, so you won't have any mic options. That'll just be for the three panelists. But we do encourage you to use the chat options as well as if you've got any questions. Specifically, if you do have questions, please use the Q&A option. That will at least allow us to track and to make sure that we actually answer the questions that you've got throughout today's session. Who we've got with us today, we've got Anthony Prasad, who's the Senior Director for Asia Pacific Sales for Ekahau. And we've also got Amin Kroll, who's our Channel Sales Manager from Australia, that covers Australia and New Zealand. And obviously myself, Technical Sales Engineer, Asia Pacific, based out of Australia. So with saying that, I might hand it over to Anthony and you can kick off today's slides. Thank you, Anthony.
Thank you, Grant. Welcome, everybody. Excited to be doing the first webinar with you all for 2019. New team, which we will introduce as part of the presentation today. And I think the reason we're doing this session, an introductory session, is just to introduce the team in Asia Pacific to you all, give you a brief update on what's going on. We'll introduce the company, the products to you, and we've got a demo to give you guys as well. So we're using this as an intro to Ekahau Asia Pacific, and we will schedule ongoing webinars as we've got some exciting things happening this year for you all. But welcome to this webinar. Excited to speak with you all. Please make it interactive. We will respond to your comments and your questions as this session goes on. But this is an intro, so it's very high level, it's very basic intro to the company. But if you do have some burning questions or you need some information, do reach out during the session. And if we don't have time to get to you this session, then we'll get to you following. Okay, so let's jump into it. The agenda for today is to meet the team. We'll all introduce ourselves to you, some new faces for you, which is a good sign. We're growing in Asia Pacific. So fantastic FY18 we had, which justifies investment in people moving forward. So you will see some new faces on this session, as well as another, maybe one or two surprises during the year as well. So basic session, we'll go through what Ekahau does, what our market plan is. We'll talk to you about the channel. We'll talk to you about partners. We'll talk to you about some customer success stories as well. We'll get you a little bit excited about what's in store for 2019. Now, we were hoping to share a little bit more during this session, but you know, things being the way they are for new products, we can't share too much. But we will tease you a little bit of what's coming, what's new for Ekahau in 2019. I'll pass it on to Amin to go through the channel, and then we'll give you a live demo. Grant will go through a demo, highlight some new funky things that's going on, some new features within the product, and then most importantly, I want to keep it open for Q&A at the end. So as we're going through this, do use the chat window and ask as much as you can, and we'll see how many of you we can get to. So snapshot of the business across globally. So Ekahau, we're headquartered in the US, in Reston, Virginia. We've got a strong team representing us in the US, but followed closely behind, just as big, I would say, is our European, Finland, Helsinki team, who we do go to for the Asia Pacific business. So if you order, all orders will go through our Finland entity. R&D is based there, product is based there, marketing for Asia Pacific is based there as well. We will be introducing more marketing and introduce our marketing team as well in future sessions with you. The Asia Pacific team, so I'm based in Singapore. I run the business for Asia Pacific. So that's all the way up and down for Asia Pacific. I'll speak to you more about some key markets, but our biggest market in Asia Pacific is Australia. So representing us in Australia, we have Amin based in Sydney. I'll get him to introduce himself in a minute. And Grant is based up in Queensland on the Gold Coast. Very lucky guy being based out of the Gold Coast. But he does, well, I'll get him to introduce himself to you guys as well. So I'll start off by introducing myself. I've been with Ekahau for approximately 1.5 years now. It's been fantastic growth. So last year, just to give you an idea of what we saw in the business, we grew by over 60% in Asia Pacific, led by fantastic growth in Australia and New Zealand. Emerging markets showed fantastic growth. India, we've got a great partner there that's ramping things up for us. China, Japan is my second biggest market. Fantastic growth all around last year. We're going to have a little bit more focus with the team now and what we're looking to do. So we'll talk more about that as we go on. But I've been in the industry for quite a number of years, kicked off my career in Cisco, worked in some great companies like Riverbed, Blue Coat. I run the business for Ekahau. So anything you need, any suggestions on how we can do things better, please reach out to me. My key focus is greater alignment with our Wi-Fi vendors. So I believe we need to be doing more with Cisco. We need to be doing more with Aruba, partners like Ruckus, Mist, Aerohive. You know, their core business is Wi-Fi, right? Cisco's the biggest in the Wi-Fi market, and the rest of the people I mentioned are key players in Wi-Fi. So very important that we align with them, work with the right distributors, and then recruit the right partners and support the customer verticals, whether that be hotel, education, hospitality, healthcare. So that's me in a nutshell. I'll pass it over to Amin. Amin, go ahead, mate.
Yeah, thanks, Anthony. G'day, everybody. My name is Amin Kroll. As I've already been introduced, I'm new to Ekahau. My responsibility is to support and build the partner program in ANZ. I'm the sales and channel marketing manager for the region. I'm based in Sydney, which is very important. I mean, Anthony's already spoken about the incredible growth that we've experienced. Amazingly, that's been managed out of Singapore with the support of our distributors. And so now with a person on the ground being myself, you'll have somebody who's local, who's responsive, who can meet with you, and whose remit is to grow the business and to help support our program much more closely as well. So a bit more about myself. I similar to Anthony, I've had many years experience in building channel-based technology businesses, and I've done that in enterprise. My most recent enterprise type of role was with Lexmark, where I was responsible for the channel business across Australia and New Zealand programs, partners, and that type of thing as well. With Hostway, which is a hosting and a data center cloud-based business, I did that for many years as well. And like many of our partners and many of our attendees here today, I've also run my own business. I've been in startups, some of which have been, extremely successful, and others not so. So I certainly understand both sides of the equation and the importance of a vendor that adds value, supports the partners, and so that's what I'm here to do. If we haven't met here, if we haven't met already in person, we will soon. If you're considering adding Ekahau as part of your business, please feel free to reach out to me at any time. I'm more than happy to catch up. Thank you. Grant, over to you, mate.
Thanks, Amin. So my name's Grant Shelley. I promise that ECSE is not a part of my name, so I'm not sure how that managed to stick in there. I've been in the Wi-Fi game for quite a number of years. Spent a significant portion of that as a power user of Ekahau. I used to work for one of the distributors of Ekahau in Australia. So I know the tool inside out. Worked on a lot of Wi-Fi projects, large and small, and I've also, I've worked on everything from being in more of the managerial side of Wi-Fi projects, all the way down to being the guy on the ground doing a lot of the survey work, the analysis work and things like that. So I've been through a lot of projects, and I guess the highlight for me is that I am a dedicated resource for the APAC region. I'm based on the Gold Coast, as Anthony said, so it's a pretty nice part of the world. And probably the most important point is that I love a good coffee. So I think I'm already making friends with some of the chats that are going on already. All right, back to you, Anthony.
Good stuff, guys. So exciting that the team in Asia Pacific is growing. I was hoping to have another face up there, which I will soon. So we are looking at bringing somebody on board in Japan, which is my second biggest region. We've got some great partners there. And then what I'll be able to do with dedicated resources in Australia and in Japan is I'll be able to focus on a lot of other emerging countries that Ekahau is building and growing in. So excited to work with you all moving forward. And this is a strong team that I have. So please reach out to us, and we're excited to kick off FY19 with you all. Okay, so I'm going to jump into some slides and just intro session. So please bear with me. I will introduce Ekahau and the business and what we're looking at driving in FY19. So I did mention new solutions coming very soon. So hopefully on the next webinar we'll be able to share more on that. But for now, let's keep it on how we want to bring the Ekahau message to market together with all of you. So we are a pioneer in the Wi-Fi industry. You'll see us heavily involved with Wi-Fi discussions in general. We've got some very strong people in the company that have been representing us in whatever's going on in Wi-Fi, whether that's big vendor events like Cisco Live, Aruba Atmosphere, Ruckus, Big Dogs, Mini Dogs, or just general big Wi-Fi events in the US and around Europe as well. We do pride ourselves as being very focused and niche in what we do. So we do focus heavily on what's going on in Wi-Fi and solutions that are happening in the Wi-Fi market. We've got some great customers. So around Asia Pacific, you'll see some good names here. This is just a small snippet of who we work with. We do have some great customers in education, universities in Australia. We've got some great system integrators and service providers around the region as well. We work with some of the biggest names in Japan. We've got some great customers that we're going to keep filling this slide in as the business grows as well. The vendors globally, we also have some great customers as well. So Cisco is a very close partner of ours, but they're also a very big customer of ours. So they train the advanced services, their SEs, to use Ekahau to build great Wi-Fi networks for their customers. Microsoft uses us, Apple uses us, Google uses us. We've got some great names up there. And again, this is just a small snip of the customers that we work with that use Ekahau and rely on Ekahau for their Wi-Fi network. The vendors is, I mentioned this, very key that we work with these guys, we support these guys, and that they in turn support us. So we've got a great relationship. I'm going to be updating this slide to get localized comments and feedback from all the Wi-Fi vendors in Asia Pacific, and I may even be adding people like Huawei and some localized Wi-Fi vendors in here as well. So work in progress. We've got great alignment with these teams. We've got to grow that beyond the big boys as well. Customers testimonials again. So I'm looking to work with you, everybody on this call, to get some comments if you do love our product. And if you want to be on our slide deck, so send me a great comment, and we'll put you with your logo on here. Amin will reach out to you as well. Grant will reach out to you guys as well. I want localized testimonials. These are global testimonials from some of our great customers and partners worldwide. What we want is Asia Pacific version of this. So if you've got a good comment, just maybe type it in the chat box. No, I'm kidding. We'll reach out to you, and we'll work with you guys to get some great comments and testimonials.
Yeah, just tell us how good Ekahau is.
Okay, so why are we seeing some fantastic growth in Asia Pacific, but just globally? Ekahau's growing globally well over 50 to 60% globally in every market. And why is that happening, right? First of all, the change that we're seeing in a lot of enterprise, a lot of verticals that I mentioned, healthcare, hospitality, education, retail. Everyone doesn't want to keep plugging in cables anymore. But it goes beyond that as well. It goes into transformation of industry, right? So if you're seeing IoT leading the charge, smarter offices, smarter enterprise, and if you want to drive new innovation, you don't want to be restricted by traditional cable networks. So the criticality of Wi-Fi is really driving the need for better designed Wi-Fi. My biggest challenge actually in Asia Pacific is awareness. A lot of people just don't know that we exist, and it's interesting that some getting the word out, right? That's my biggest challenge, which is why I need to be driving more marketing. I need to be working with all of you on what's working well, what's not working well, and then within the same industry, within your colleagues, within your own business, how can we be promoting how Ekahau is helping you solve problems? So education, awareness, that's my biggest challenge. Driving transformation into industry is the second thing, and then how critical is your Wi-Fi, and how can we help you fix it is the third thing that we want to be driving. Working on the growth that we're seeing in the Wi-Fi industry. This is actually a little bit old now. I'm going to get the updated numbers from Cisco, from Aruba as well, and Rockers on where they see the Wi-Fi market going. But bringing this message into your industry, right? It's not just looking at the business today, but in the next 3 to 5 years, where the devices are going, where the speed of Wi-Fi is going, 802.11ac, 802.11ax, and then even 6G, that 6 gigahertz band that's been released for Wi-Fi, and what change that's going to be bringing in, and then using the proper tools to get ready, prepare, not just fix what you're doing today, but getting ready for the future as well. In summary, the growth that we're seeing in the number of users, the number of devices, so mobility, right? Mobility, cloud, driving the adoption of working from anywhere, working from any room, connecting to Wi-Fi and doing your business. The amount of data and Wi-Fi speeds are all driving the adoption of Ekahau as the tool to use to get better Wi-Fi. 3 key areas that we're driving into. So anybody designing Wi-Fi networks, anybody setting up Wi-Fi networks, I want to be working with you, right? You are the key guys that I need to be working with. If you're buying access points, if you're designing Wi-Fi networks, if you're selling access points, I want you to be using the right tool. And if you are an Ekahau partner, we need to be promoting that to your customers, right? We need to be promoting that to your business units, to your businesses, that you are using the industry leader to help design, deploy, build a BOM, and then configure and drive that network into the market. Existing Wi-Fi networks and going in, fixing with the best practices, fixing things like auto channel, right? A lot of people think auto channel, touchless Wi-Fi networks is the way to go, but what we've found is usually that doesn't work well, right? So moving away from vendor marketing into real life networks, helping them understand channel overlap, 2.4 gig migration to 5 gig. That's a big deal. In a lot, you'd be amazed in how many networks we walk into and just see Wi-Fi on 5 gig being underutilized and 2.4 gig just going crazy. Talking to them about the lifespan, 3 to 4 year old APs, what the latest access points can bring in terms of data rates, performance, and new generation of Wi-Fi to customer networks, and then the life cycle, right? The bottom here we talk about planning, deploying, site surveying. This shouldn't be the end of it, right? Walking away with a site survey done and a fantastic Wi-Fi performing network is not the end of it, because Wi-Fi changes as soon as you walk away from that network. This needs to be a recurring model that we need to be driving. Is every 3 months, every quarter, every 6 months, every year, we need to be going back in, re-examining that network and fixing the Wi-Fi as an ongoing service for customers, or even teaching customers to do this themselves, right? You'd be amazed how many customers now are adopting the idea that we need to maintain our own Wi-Fi. We don't have partners that can do this for us. So Ekahau, can you either train up my partner to maintain my network for me, or just train up my team and we'll maintain our own Wi-Fi network. So depending on the country, depending on the region, depending on the customer capabilities, that's options that we want to be talking to the market about. Okay, I'll skip past this slide very quickly, but the reason why I put this together is I want, we need to convince customers that their Wi-Fi is critical. And if you want to design a enterprise-grade Wi-Fi network, you can't expect your partners to do this for free. This is the traditional way of thinking. Enterprises expect, we're buying access points, we want you to design and give us the best Wi-Fi network for free. But I want the least amount of APs. I want the lowest cost BOM that you can give me, right? It's this is the traditional way of thinking of Wi-Fi. What we need to educate customers about is your Wi-Fi is critical. If you want it to be designed properly, if you want it to be performing properly, you need to spend money to get your Wi-Fi working, and you need to buy the right services. You need to adopt the right tools to get your Wi-Fi performing at enterprise grade, enterprise quality. This is the migration that we want to bring to the market. Right, from Mr. Partner, just give me the lowest cost BOM, the traditional way of deploying access points, and then they walk away. Your partner walks away from the network, and you're calling up the vendor saying my Wi-Fi is not working. Why is it not working? The troubleshooting model, right? We want to migrate it all into a properly designed, planned, validated troubleshoot network, and then we want partners or IT teams to maintain that for you. Offload the Wi-Fi vendor from remote ongoing troubleshooting to on-site troubleshooting for your Wi-Fi network. Doing it yourselves, getting your partners involved, that's what we want to drive. This is the life cycle that we want to help you bring to your business. Planning, validating, troubleshooting, monitoring. The great thing is our ESS Planner Pro is an all-in-one tool. It does the planning, it does the validation, it does the troubleshooting, it does the monitoring for you. Supported heavily with the Ekahau Sidekick, right? This is our biggest selling bundle. This is what people rely on to build Wi-Fi networks. This is not going to change. What we are needing to bring in the market is why spectrum analysis is important, and having that discussion, bringing a Sidekick on site, turning it on, showing you what's interfering with your Wi-Fi, what's your Wi-Fi config like, and the importance of this, right? There's still a lot of system integrators that don't do spectrum analysis, just using Wi-Fi and USB adapters. It's amazing. It's amazing the the difference that you get with the Sidekick as compared to a single Wi-Fi USB adapter, right? Mobile survey. So this is, I probably shouldn't, but I'm gonna give you an update on how this is changing. We currently have a Android tool for mobile survey that you can bring in an Android device, do a site survey, and update your ESS plan. We have gotten a lot of feedback throughout the years that we need to update this, so we are updating the mobile survey. It's going to be really cool. I can't share too much now, but probably next month I can share more with you, and we've got exciting things coming in terms of mobile survey, mobile
What
on-site.
I would say there, Anthony, is if anyone's keen to see what's coming out with Site Survey version 10 and would like to, we do have a bit of an open beta that we're allowing people to participate in. You'll be able to get a bit of a glimpse into what we're doing on the mobile survey side as well. So if anyone's keen and they're looking to do that, you do need to have a current version of Ekahau Site Survey Pro. Please send me through an email. Just let me know that you're interested in joining the beta, and I'll get those details passed on internally, and we'll get you involved. So I'll put my email address in the chat, and it'll be on the final slide as well.
And I didn't say this, but you will need an iPad as well. So if you want to do a beta, you'd need an iPad. Okay, so that's all I'm going to say about that. But keep an eye out, right? Really exciting things happening with mobile survey and on-site surveying, making it easier for you. You know, there may be cloud involved with that as well. I didn't say that. Okay, so jumping ahead. What's in store for the next 12 months? So exciting things happening. This is just a snip of what's happening in the next 12 months. I'm going to pass it to Amin to quickly go through this and give you an update. Amin?
Yeah, thanks, Anthony. Yeah, so as you said, exciting 12 months in play at the moment. We, obviously the immediate thing on the calendar is Cisco Live. I've seen some comments already. A lot of people are joining the event. And so we're very keen to see you there. We'll all be on our stand. We'd be very keen to see as many people visiting us as possible, either existing or new. So that's March 5th and the 8th as well. And we'll be at other events as well, Aruba Atmosphere and other events as they come up through the year as well. Training wise, we've got ECSE training continue to be scheduled throughout the year. One being run through our partners or Dicker Data distributor in Melbourne, 12th to the 15th of March, and we've got additional locations, dates, and times to be advised. So we've got some giveaways to announce. To encourage as many of you to visit us at Cisco Live. So two very cool giveaways. One is a copy of ESS Pro. So visit us on the stand, register, and you go into the draw for ESS Pro. And the second, thanks to Dicker, who are running who organising the Melbourne training event. They've been kind enough, very generous to give away one seat at that event. So that's close to 5K in value on its own. So great certification for your business, good value for your business, and great certification opportunity for yourself as well. Look, we ran Wi-Fi Day last year. It was extraordinarily popular. It's back due to popular demand. What we do know is we do plan to hold it earlier this year. We had it in November last year, so it's mid-year-ish so far. So again, that will be in Sydney and also possibly in Singapore as well. Anthony can talk a bit about that too. And as Anthony mentioned, a bit of a teaser here. We can't provide too many details, but we're continuing our laser focus on product and investment within the product as well. So expect some announcements around that throughout the year too. Cool. So let me talk in a bit more detail, get a bit more granular. I'll talk about the plans that we have, that I have for the channel business within ANZ. So as I mentioned, that now we've got somebody on the ground, being myself. We've got a new channel program being launched globally, and that's happening in February. So what you can expect to see there is some familiar tiering, as you would have seen in other programs, but it's very much designed to support the growth of your business, the growth of Ekahau within your business as well. So there are 3 different tiers. We'll provide the details as they're released, but essentially 3 different tiers, the top tier being gold, and the higher up that you go, obviously there are more incentives aligned around that, including access to events, access to leads, and commercial benefits around that as well. I'm very focused on growing our resellers, our partners, our systems integrators within both Australia and also New Zealand as well. So we have as well as focusing on the Australian channel side of the business, we have a trip planned. Grant and I will be in New Zealand in April, visiting some new resellers. So if you are in the region, we're very keen to catch up with you and meet with you as well. So that's a focus of growth for us this year as well. And similar to what Anthony mentioned, a very strong focus on aligning with our Wi-Fi hardware vendors through the year. We are the default, the preferred solution for Wi-Fi hardware vendors around the world, and we're looking to replicate that here. So working very closely with the Ciscos, Arubas, Ruckuses of the world, and through education, through relationships as well, and very focused on ensuring that we've got the right distributor network in place. Our growth has been extraordinary. We've got distributors that have really stepped up, adding a lot of value, and we are making sure that continues, and we've got the right distributor network for the region in place for 2019. So APAC, over to you, Anthony.
Thanks, Aman. So exciting things happening in ANZ. In the rest of Asia Pacific, similar story. We've got great distributors that have been put in place in each country. India is taking a little bit longer to get the right distributor in place, but we do have a great partner that's doing great things over there at the moment. We have with the channel program, so with the distributors in place, the next step is to get some great resellers and system integrators, right? So if you're an end user, tell me who your good system integrators or resellers are. I'll reach out to them and train them up to support your network. The other thing is, if you're a system integrator or a service provider, reach out to us. By signing on as an Ekahau partner, you do get discount on product, you do get benefits on training, you do get access to marketing. So it is a proper channel program that we're bringing to each country in Asia Pacific to drive the message, drive awareness, and with that, the growth is just going to be massive in the next couple of years. We are hiring in Japan, so I'll have somebody local there helping me drive that business with the partners there. Got some good partners there currently, and the business with this person is just going to be growing tremendously. We're going to be driving a lot of end user promos, messaging, vertically focused. We'll be talking to putting a little bit more emphasis on our success in the end user space as well. So keep a lookout onto that. We'll be reaching out to you to help bring that story together if you're an end user, or if you're a partner of ours, we'll be reaching out to speak to some of your key partners. But the key verticals, healthcare, hospitality, education, retail, enterprise in general, is growing massively. oil and gas, mining. You know, we've got some great activity in each of those, and just bringing that story of success and replicating that, and driving that reach. That's going to be something we want to be focusing on. So if you're willing to help us on that space, we'll give you some, speak to us about some things that you want from us, and we'll talk to you about what we can do with you. Okay, so that's pretty much the talking bit of it with slides. What we're exciting time now is I'm going to pass it over to Grant to take over, and he's going to be running through a live demo for you guys. Grant, you ready, mate?
Yes, sure. Just really quickly, when we were talking about India before, we do have an ECSE scheduled for India as well, just to show our commitment to that region. That is happening from the 12th to the 15th of Feb. So if anyone in the Asia Pacific region, if they can't wait for the March ECSE, or they want to get on the next possible ECSE, there are still seats available for the India ECSE in Bangalore.
Yeah, we are running some promos for that. It's nearly full, so there are a few seats left. So reach out to us, and we'll get you set up for that.
All right. So the demo that I would like to go through, and we'll be conscious of time, and obviously what questions we've got coming in as well, and there's been some good ones so far, is going to be around that Wi-Fi life cycle. So we're going to start with the design, and then we're going to go into like a live survey, and we'll give you a bit of an idea of what it looks like when comparing the Sidekick that I've got here against like what you would see with a normal, couple of spectrum analyzers like USB spectrum analyzers and USB dongles, which we see in the more traditional sense. So now we do support a series of different floor plan types. What I'm going to do is I'm going to, and for time purposes, I'm going to import a DWG file because that's going to be much quicker than if we were going to have to bring in a flat image file. The advantage of bringing in like a CAD file is that the software, Ekahau, is able to interpret the different layers that are assigned to the file, and we can assign those layers with different wall types. Now, what I'm going to do here is I do have different viewpoints. I don't need all this architectural detail, so I'm going to select a different viewpoint. The software is going to quickly re-import that now. And we end up with something like this. So for anyone that's had to do manual drawing, you will definitely appreciate this type of approach, where if I highlight the doors layer, I can assign a solid wood door to it. And then once I move to the next layer, you'll see everything's bold and black, which is what's been assigned to that solid wood frame. You can go to exterior walls, and we might set them up as concrete. And we're going to do this one fairly quickly. We get it up and running. So, we've got a few extra layers there. So if we wanted to get into a lot of detail, we absolutely could. We've got window sills and we've got outdoor, brick walls and things like that. But we're not going to worry about that. We're just going to try and get this up to speed as quickly as we possibly can. So just remember, any questions, please type them into the Q&A. And if they sort of come up as we're moving through the demo, we'll definitely we'll answer them. And so it'll take a minute or so, which isn't too bad, considering we've got Zoom running in the background as well. And we very quickly put a model together. Now, the nice thing here is that we've got the option for traditional access points as well as Bluetooth beacons. And what we can also do is, particularly if we want to work with an access point that's got BLE built in, and that's sort of a bit of the what a lot of people are working with these days, we can just type in BLE and we can quickly find our access point. Alternatively, if we wanted to use, let's say, that Aruba 335, I can just type it in and I can find it. And the old way used to be placing an access point on a map makes it a little bit easier, particularly if you like to do manual placement, like myself. We've got the coverage planning option here, which basically allows me to shift the access point around the map, and I can understand what my primary coverage is. So you can see down the bottom right there, it's showing voice and data at a -67 cell level. And so I can move that around. So I can quickly understand that, okay, if I place an access point in this room, that's probably not going to be good for co-channel interference because the signal's blasting right down the corridor. If I place the access point just in the next room next door, then the coverage cell is going to be much better for it. And so I can very quickly start to work out a coverage plan based on this type of approach. And so we very quickly end up with a design. If we then bring up the signal strength like we normally work with, and while that's loading, geez, we've got a lot of questions in the chat.
And comments.
Yeah, yeah. Are they? Hopefully they're good comments. Hopefully they're saying I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah, one which is remove the generic AP from the list. I've no idea where I can purchase a generic AP.
Yeah, good point. Someone was at the Wi-Fi design day, I think. Hayden. Okay, so that's a pretty quick and easy way for me to to put a traditional manually placed design together. I do then have the option, for instance, if I wanted to put Bluetooth beacons in, if we're going for like if we wanted to augment our wireless design with BLE, we do have a Bluetooth coverage option here, and I can start to place Bluetooth beacons and then very quickly get an understanding of what that coverage looks like. So I'm not going to go through and do the whole thing, but to give you an idea, we are working with a lot of different vendors in that Bluetooth space. And we know a lot of you are we're getting a lot of questions about that. So as I place more Bluetooth radios around, we can start to get a coverage cell. So for whatever your BLE use case is. Now, what I might do is just create a coverage area here really quickly. And because the coverage area does a couple of things for us. Number one is it will give us a defined area that we're going to work in. We might actually leave that for now. So it'll give us a defined area. So for instance, if we bring back up our signal strength, you'll see that the signal strength will be sort of encapsulated in that area. So it makes it a little bit nicer to the eye, particularly if we wanted to get rid of that area view. And it also ties into our coverage planner. Sorry, not our coverage planner, our capacity planner. So we can add some devices in. We've got laptops, smartphones, tablets, and we can define what these devices are doing, background sync, different SLAs, whether they're using Dropbox and things like that. And so we can bring in airtime utilization visualizations as well, which we've got a few of up here. Now, adding 150 devices to this design isn't really going to impact it too much, but it is there nonetheless. So the other thing that we could do, for example, is, at the moment we're dealing with omnidirectional access points, so 360-degree coverage cells. You can see here on the left-hand panel, we've got our elevation and azimuth radio profiles from the access points. But, if we wanted to place, let's say, an outdoor access point, for example, what we could do is we could might go with a different vendor this time. And so we can place, and so we've got a directional AP here.
Grant, we got a question with an external antenna. Maybe use one with an external antenna.
we can do that. So we can stick with the Cisco. We've got a couple of different ones here. So, you know, we've got a directional external antenna here. So the external access points are still represented in a similar fashion. Really, because the radio patterns, we take them directly from the vendor and we feed them into our engine. So, you know, the propagation is going to be sort of per AP and per radio, per antenna. But we do have the capability, for example, you know, if we just go by a selected access point, so we've got our directional AP here. If we just want to switch on signal just for that one radio, we can do that. And then we end up with, you know, so, and that's just for 5 gigs. So we're looking at our 5 gig coverage here. But we may not necessarily want the access point, particularly if we're placing it on a wall, such as we're trying to simulate here. We may not necessarily want that AP to be, you know, facing directly out at the opposing wall here, because we can see that it's bleeding, it's attenuating through. So what we could do, for example, is 1, we probably want to change the mounting height. And 2, what we probably want to do is we probably want to change the tilt of the antenna. And when we do both of those things, it will minimize the bleed somewhat. You know, we've still got a little bit of coverage or a little bit of signal in there, but it's significantly minimized. And, you know, you can see the change in the antenna profile and the radio profile there. All right, so I'm going to keep going. I can see that there are some questions there. Amin and Anthony, if you guys want to read them out as we're going, I'm happy to do that. But we might just quickly jump to a live survey. So just give me a second here, and I will. And so all of these examples, if you've got a copy of Ekahau site survey, they are in the projects folder usually in your My Documents area. So just keep that in mind if you want to sort of have a look at these yourself and have a bit of a play around. You know, by all means. So we do have one question that's come through that sort of popped up to the top about the most common AP vendor in the list. We don't really have a common AP vendor. So we talk to all the wireless vendors, you know, in different regions as well. You know, so if there's a specific vendor that's prolific in your region, you know, like in China or Japan or India, and you don't see them in the list, or you don't see your model in the list, please send me through an email. Let me know what the AP is that you would like to get in the list, and we'll ensure that that we can get it in there. Usually we can fit it in so that it's in the next release. Okay, so what we're going to do here is let's just have a look at an existing survey. And so hopefully everyone can see that. We've got our green survey paths there. We've got our 3 access points, 1, 2, and 3 that have been found, all 5 gig APs. And what we're going to do is we're going to inspect the survey data that was captured. And so I'm going to bring this up on the big screen. And so, you know, we can see there what we've captured at this period in time. So what we're looking at is we're looking at the spectrum analysis that was captured on the 2.4 band. So we're currently looking at what was captured on the survey. There was no association on this band, and there was quite a number of different radios. You can bring those up. We've got a list of them here, those that were audible and those that were not. And we can switch over to 5 gig. You know, not too much happening on 5 gig at that particular point in time, but, you know, we've got a fairly loud Meraki AP in this area, but not a lot happening on the spectrum. So both of these surveys were captured with USB adapters and with the traditional, you know, the Metageek spectrum analyzers that I'm sure a lot of you have used in the past. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to switch over to a live view. And this is what we're looking at for the Sidekick. And so hopefully that's coming through. One of the things that, that is difficult to show when we're doing a Zoom session like this and we're doing a screen share is the actual speed that we're picking up of the Sidekick. And you know, I can tell you that the speed is quite significant. If you're trying to keep a track of it, you'll end up going cross-eyed. But you know, we can, if we just bring that down for a second, what we're going to do is we'll just turn on the interference detection as well. So if we pick up any interferers, we can pick those up. And what you should be able to see is we can see these little spikes. They would very likely be the headset that I'm wearing at the moment, my Bluetooth AirPods. If we jump over to 5 gig, we can see my association on the access point here. If we go to our timeline, so we can see my association to the AP. And you know, not too much going on, but you know, there's obviously a lot of traffic going on here because I'm broadcasting my video or my screen share, you know, over the wireless. But if we jump back to 2.4, it's obviously the more fun of the channels. We can see that there's a lot more detail that's actually happening here. And what we can do, we might switch on interference, see if we can pick up anything. We can actually also drop the sweep time down. So if we drop it down to like a max sweep, we can sort of see the ebb and flow of the wireless environment around us. So we can see those little Bluetooth beacons popping in. And we can also introduce a spectrum interferer. So I've just got a pretty standard drone controller here, and that's picking up some interference on channel 1, as well as a little bit of interference on, you know, on channel 2 as well, because they're both overlapping each other. And you'll see that every time that it does pick up a known interferer, it marks it on our sort of Minimap screen here, as well as, you know, our live waterfall view, which makes it easy for us to analyze and to go back to be able to pinpoint where the problem is. Because a lot of the time, you know, we're going to be doing a survey, particularly if we're looking at our Minimap screen up the top here, we may not necessarily see something that's, you know, prolific, such as the drone controller that's coming through. We can just sort of see it coming through every now and then, which could really, it could just be like a heavy transfer on the 2.4 spectrum and not too much else. But when we get back into the office, or, you know, if we get toward the end of the day and we actually start to investigate, we can actually see the spectrum sort of heat up or light up as we got closer to one of these offenders. And then, you know, we can use the spectrum identifier to pick out what that interferer was, you know, potentially go back to the site, or at least identify that with the site, find out what it is, and, you know, decommission it or try and shift it to a different channel. Or maybe what we need to do is, you know, Anthony talked before about RRM. Maybe we need to go to like some sort of a more of a manual channel plan where we need to shift the access points away from channel 1 so that they're not interfering with you know, with this device that has to broadcast on channel 1.
Go on.
All right. So we've got a couple of questions here, and I do understand we're getting toward the top of the hour. So I might stop there, and we can just sort of have a bit of a chat. Have you guys been answering some of the chat questions?
Yeah, Anthony's been answering a lot of those. One of them is from Jasper Chong. Is there a limit to the AP host name that can be displayed by Ekahau? We did a survey and all 45 APs show the same 15-character host name. Was the host name truncated to 15 characters?
I think that's a per vendor limitation. I could double check on that, but I'm pretty sure that's up to the AP vendor. Yeah, I'd have to double check on that, but I do recall that that there are some notes in the if you check the release notes, I'm pretty sure that it's addressed in there. If you want to have a look in there, Jasper. Otherwise, yeah, just send that email to myself, and I can triple check that for you.
Excellent.
I'm glad Brian's picked up on my SSID names. I'll just leave that there.
All right. I think Anthony's done a good job answering most of those on the fly.
Yeah.
Which is good.
So someone's asking about they're sort of in more of a remote location. They don't need to do 2 site surveys a year. Do you offer design as a service? No, we don't. But if you send us through your contact details, we can definitely get in touch. We've got a bunch of system integrators and whatnot that would be able to assist with something like that. But professional services is not something that Ekahau delivers.
Good. I think that's it.
Yeah, I'm just reading through some of the questions. So if your question didn't get answered, it's probably a little bit beyond what we would want to cover today without everyone just logging off, because some of them are a little bit of a deep dive, but there are some really good questions in there. So I would encourage you to send them to me. My details are, my email address is in the chat a couple of times now. Otherwise, I should have your contact details, and any technical questions that we didn't answer, I'll definitely reach out and we can have a conversation.
There's one regarding 3D map. I think maybe just quickly go through how we can do 3D view.
You love the 3D, Anthony. I got to say. All right. Let's have a look here. And it is very impressive. The nice thing with the, so I'll just open up. And again, this office planning example, if you've already got Site Survey installed, it is in your projects folder that is installed by default. So, definitely take a look at that. So this is how the 3D building sort of works. So we're still operating in a 2D space. The advantage there is that, it's a lot less of a resource hog. And it's a lot easier to visualize as well. It's hard to come across sort of, anything that's even 2.5D. So, but if what we can do, for example, we could go here. If we quick select, I'm going to quick select all the access points on level 2. And, we can just show, well, we'll show 2.4 because that's going to be quite prolific. But we're going to just slide up the signal strength for the selected access points on 2.4. If we go to the level above, you can see the signal bleed into the floor above. And then if we jump down to the floor below, we can see a similar type of result. And so that's sort of how that would work. If we have a bit of a try here, so select none, we'll just select a single AP, and then let's see if this guy gets picked up on floor 1. Might be a little bit, not so much. But we'll definitely pick him up on level 2. So that's how the 3D works. It's really a matter of you're aligning the X and Y points that are that are consistent through the same map. So you can see we've aligned it against the fire escape or the stairwells here. And so this again can be built and put together fairly quickly, and it's quite good for being able to put a bill of materials together. That might be able to use some of the radio attenuation from the floors above, for example, if you're in that sort of a situation, or if you've got like if you walk into like a modern public facility like a hotel that might have a big open atrium, you can design for that as well. We've got like a hole in the floor option that we can put in as well, which is quite good.
Hey, Grant, can you just do a quick visualization on capacity health just to show how we can do not just signal strength, but also capacity. A question came up regarding capacity planning.
Yeah, so I don't think we've got any capacity added here, but what we can do, we can just add in some quick devices, and we might give them a bit more to do. You'll see that once I've added that capacity in, the capacity visualization is, is sort of having to think about it. It's going to bring up a visualization for us now. What have we done here? There we go. So there we go there. If we hover the mouse over, we'll get a bit of a layout of, what clients are on what radio, on what channel. If they're dual band clients, which we've got, and then we can also get a bit of a breakdown as well. And of course, if we jump down to a different level, we haven't defined any capacity in there yet, but we can put that in as we need to. So the nice thing about the capacity planner is we've got defaults in there. So we've got just, a generic laptop, smartphone, tablet, VoIP phone, and handheld scanner, which probably covers most devices. But if you've got a custom device, you can add that in. That's absolutely no problem at all. We've got device profiles in here, so you can add your own. And we might have like some old 11B devices in. We can define what the offset is, which is usually the offset's going to be minus what the access point is capable of. And we can add those in, and we can overload the 2.4 spectrum, for example, with our old 11B clients. Yeah. So there's a couple more questions, and I think most people are sort of staying on, which is good. So I'm sort of happy. I'm happy to stay on for a few more minutes. So here's a quick, easy one. If you accidentally delete an AP from passive survey heat map, how do I recover it back? So you can't really delete. So if you've done an active passive survey, and we're in a predictive right now, but if you delete it, it just removes it from the floor plan. It would still be in your access point list. You can right click an access point and place automatically. You'll have an option in there if it's a live survey, and the software will replace it back on the map for you.
Yeah, so Ron Muller asks, how can you show that 5 gigahertz is dominant over 2.4 gigahertz? I think if you're talking about signal strength, what you can do is you've got the ability to edit the power of both 2.4 gig and 5 gig, the radios. And then visualization-wise, you've got the option of showing 2.4 gig versus 5 gig. And through reporting, you can run a report showing the comparison between 2.4 and 5 gig. So every visualization, if you see on the screen that Grant is showing, you can run the report. You can run the visualization on 2.4 gig or 5 gig.
Yeah. So, and the thing that I've just noticed is that this is an older design. So that the newer version of Site Survey will actually down tune the 2.4 power to a much more reasonable level. It used to be put out at the same 25 milliwatt level. Now it's usually around 6.31. So we can change that as well and drop the cell size, so we get a lot less signal propagation from the 2.4 radios. And then we've got 25 on 5, which is a good starting point for most.
There was also a question, if you could show a quick report, excuse me, of how we do reporting.
Yes, I can. I put one together earlier. So let me
So there's
just,
a couple of ways we can do reporting. One is a one-click reporting. One is to take screenshots of each of the visualizations that Ekahau can do and put it in your own PowerPoint, for example. That's what I do to present back to customers. And one is template reporting, where, for example, dimension data, for example, will have a template that each of their consultants will run once they've collected the data. And each of the reports that come out will look exactly the same with the dimension data logos, and the text is all the same, but just the visualizations will be put in certain positions, and the template can be very easily customized based on what your requirements are. So Grant is showing a one-click report.
yeah, so we should just preface that, because you did explain what we can do here. So the one-click report ironically takes more than one click, but we do have the capability to, change some factors here. And, we've got a lot of, basically every tick box is the equivalent of like an A4 page. Although I know, like, my preference was always A3 because the image was bigger. So if it had to print it out, with scale is quite good. So we've got the one-click report. You've also got the capability to do a template report. We won't really have time to get into that today. But that probably is a good segue, and that did remind me, we were going to run some polls, which we didn't. But if there are subjects or areas that you would like us to focus on for the next webinar, definitely let me know. We wanted to keep this webinar pretty high level and not sort of deep dive too much, but definitely if we've got a particular topic, I'm happy to sort of to jump into that. We might be able to get maybe UC or one of the US team to jump on board as well. Particularly for template reporting, that's Nick Turner, that's sort of his baby in a lot of ways. But you can generate the template reports pretty easily. Again, in that installation folder in your My Documents, if you're on Windows, you do have a lot of template reports in there that are just sort of dummy templates that you can play around with. Or you can copy the current visualization. So if you find a visualization that you like, you can copy that to clipboard, and you can drop that in a Word document, and then you can sort of you can push your template report to that blank Word document that's got the template tags in there, and it will generate for you. The other option is the ability to export an image, and the image export is quite good, particularly if if you've walked into a network and there's a problem, and you need to be able to just show maybe the network administrator straight away without having to do a one-click report. You can just export an image of the issue and what you think the problem is, drop it into an email and send it off. I know in my previous role, I did that quite a number of times. So it was a really nice time saver. But if we get back to the one-click report, this is what we end up with. I culled this down to just 5 gig. So, it's a 20 odd pages. And the biggest thing that I always talk about is whether you need all the information that's included.
Yeah, can you just stop on channel overlap? There was a question on how we show channel overlap. So we do have channel overlap, and you can do it on 2.4 gig or 5 gig. And with the legend that you see, you can choose whether you want to visualize channel overlap from between 1, 2 to more than 10, more than 20. So if you're looking at 5 gig, for example, and you've got a lot of channel overlap, we can run a visualization and say, show me red if it's more than 20 channels overlapping, or let's say 10 channels overlapping. And so it'll show green to red, and the darker it gets, the more channel overlap you're getting at that part of the building.
Yeah, if you recall the demo that we showed before for this particular survey, there was only 3 5 gig radios, and so being in 5 gig, we've got a lot of channels at our disposal, so there's no overlap in this particular section here. But if we jump back over to here and we go to channel overlap, we've got some, what have we got here? This is set up a little bit differently to how I would. yeah, we're able to pick up some neighboring floors as well. So we've got another access point that's on channel 60. And then, you know, if we switch over to 2.4, we've obviously got a lot more overlap because the access points that are on the floor below are also audible. So, you know, if we switch up to this section here, we've got 3 access points that are audible on channel 6 here. And so what I've done in the previous visualization here is I've basically dragged that slider all the way down to 2, which creates a nice visual of this is where we're going to have problems. Whereas if people see yellow or maybe a bit of orange, it's not too bad, it's still working. But, you know, we can drop this right down if we really want. And you can see the colors shift and become problematic as well. All right, so we could probably keep going all day. So Leo, at the moment, this is for 2.4 only at the moment, but we were switching between the 2. You can combine both, but I don't think you'd really want to. But yeah, we have gone 15 minutes over. We do have a copy of all the chat and the questions. So anything that we didn't answer, like I said, we'll get back to you. That's probably going to keep me busy for the next couple of days. Did anyone have anything else to mention before we finish up?
Yeah, no, really appreciate all of you attending, and please do reach out to us. We're here to support you guys, and yeah, no, look forward to the next one as well.
Very good. Likewise. Just closing off on one thing, there were some commercial questions around pricing and that type of thing. Feel free, just send us an email if you're after pricing. We're a channel-based business, so we can organise a quote for you fairly quickly. But other than that, thank you. Thanks to everybody. It's been a great session.
Yeah, thanks everyone, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you.